Today, and we are on to the market report and ADB. My guest is already, well positioned for the virtual experience for us to discuss this issue today, the roles of the development finance institution in Nigerian economy. A very good day to you, Ben. Hello, very good day to you, Ben.
Good day.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Good day. Thank you for having me.
All right, sir. Now let's get the ground rolling. DFIs. That's your field. That's your area. Take us through.
Yes, actually, when you consider that especially when you consider a developing economy like Nigeria, DFIs are a very key to economic growth and development. Especially with the perennial issues of lack of funding, especially on the side of government. Also, DFIs mostly are created to kind of fill that gap that the normal government offices and agencies cannot.
So now let's take it slowly on that issue. Now there are issues around their technicality and how they offer their services. But before we get into that, in the last 48 years, over 42 different DFI has been created. Some have been scrapped. Recently, President Tinubu created a credit corp, which is also a DFI. And many people are asking about the role of this DFI in the economy, which you have pointedly stated. But the technicality aspect of this DFI is called to question. Most of us who are analysts, economists, normally call to question their technicality and their managerial experience to give out the services they are created to do. What has been all about it all these years?
Yeah. When you look at the reasons for creating DFIs, for instance, you are talking about addressing market failures, supporting key sectors of the economy. And also the issues of access to finance for small businesses. These are some of the reasons that prompted the creation of these DFIs. But then, over the years, you get to realize that most of the work they do are intangible. They are not easily seen. Why they do this work? Yes, technically Personally, I've been able to have a closer interaction with some of them. I discovered that most times they are more technical even than what your average deposit money banks do. In short, being technical and being able to intervene specifically to get results. DFIs have been able to achieve that. But then, in a situation, in an economy such as ours, it might look as if, what are they really doing? But I must tell you, they are doing a lot.
Now, let's now look at the government role, because when government create DFIs, it is expected that they need there to be funded. But there's also the question that most of them are not well funded. I will give you one typical example, which you are quite familiar with. Recently, Bank of Industry was to distribute about 200 billion to Nigerians SMEs, and at the end of the day, the banks also find out that the money will not be enough to cater for all those SMEs across the country. So, does it mean that funding is very critical in one of the things about DFI in Nigeria? But the government will always look the other way, or sometimes they say they have provided the fund, but these funds are not majorly very, very strategic in terms of taking care of the majority of the SMEs that we have in the country.
Yes. In terms of funding, like I earlier pointed out, funding is limited, especially when it's coming from the government. We cannot say Nigeria. We know how it is in terms of funding. There are various issues that needed to be addressed, and the government cannot do all that. But again, DFIs, what is their role? Their roles are specific interventions, not just giving out money, not just giving out funds, but they are targeted. Their interventions are targeted, and when you look at it, if you I know it might sound out, but when you get to discuss with them, you begin to understand better what their role is. No, unlike your usual bank, where you can go there, okay, I need loan, or so and so they can give. But for DFIs, what do you need that loan for? How are you going to expand it? No, what is the guarantee that this thing this proposal you are bringing, no, we see the light of the day? No, those are some of the issues they have. So people might say, wow, if this money, they say they are going to release money for small businesses, but people are not getting it. Yes, people will not get it because there are certain criteria. And also, one of the reasons that has come that is affecting funding, especially to disbursement, is the DFIs, first of all, give it to a bank. And the truth of the matter is that what I've discovered over the years is that people find it difficult to access those funds from banks because many times they don't come with bankable projects.
Very interesting. There was a typical case of what you have just mentioned recently. I think last year, Sweden had the opportunity to distribute 50 billion, and they were using a particular commercial bank to get that money distributed to Nigeria. But they were complaining here and there. Now, we also have specified and targeted and specialized DFI. For instance, Bank of Agric is a DFI that focuses on agric. We also have Bank of Industry that focuses on small-scale cottage industries. But even with all this specialization of this DFI, we still have problem of them getting some of those money to the people they're supposed to give it. So what is the critical challenge, and what do you think that government need to do at this point in time?
The critical challenge has always been the same. You know, especially in Nigeria. Yeah. So over the years, you discover that these funds have been given to specific commercial banks. You know, okay, what is left is apply. Where is your proposal? Does it meet the standard required for the bank to approve such funding? That is where the challenge is most times. And you know how the issue of funding is in Nigeria. Many are more, let me say, more or less portfolio farmers. Most times they just but that's the reality. Over the years, that's what we've discovered as as people that have been on the field. Most times people go there, okay, just give me this money, without anything to show that the money will be used in the right direction. So it will always be difficult for a lot of people to access these funds, except they go by the laid down guidelines to accessing the funds.
Now let's look at the issue of overlapping among these DFI. Is it true that there are overlapping of duties or function among these DFI? Because I've had analysts, economists take up the issues that some of them are interjecting to where they're supposed not to interject. For instance, Development Bank of Nigeria is now focusing on SMEs. Meanwhile, Bank of Industry is also focusing on SMEs. Bank of Agri is focused on. So is this overlapping? Why do we have this overlapping coming through all this when most of them have their mandate cut out for them?
Yes, of course. In some cases, you call it overlapping functions.
Exactly.
But then a critical look at it, like I always say, a lot of these DFIs, their interventions are targeted. So whether it's the Bank of Industry, whether it's Development Bank of Nigeria, yes, they will say, okay, for instance, we are targeting 1,000 small businesses. That is coming from BOI. Maybe DBI will tell you are targeting 2,000 small businesses. It doesn't matter. What I think what we should be focusing is, are we going to get results from these interventions? I think to me, that is what we should be looking at. Yes, nobody can deny that there are issues that have to do with the mandates given by the the federal government. But then, I think to me, we should concern ourselves more with, are these interventions going to yield results?
Now, why you not talk about results? I checked through some of the documents that establish some of these DFI, and I discovered that they are linked to National Development Plan. So when you not talk about results, how much of that result can we now say about the impact on National Development Plan, about the impact on national economy, about the impact on individuals and groups as expected? Because as we speak right now, a lot of people still complain that they are not seeing much impact of the DFIs in Nigeria. Even though since 1970, majority of them have been created. Just recently, Credit Crop was created by the federal government of Nigeria.
Yes, in terms of results, well, you won't say the kind of result we expect that, okay, a whole lot of people will be dancing and singing Uhuru. But then that's not the case. Considering that the population, over 200 million Nigerians, these things will take time. These things will take time. Yes, I agree that maybe the time is crawling rather than flying in terms of achieving results in this issue. But we all know that except we are consistent in these things over the years, it will be difficult. And also, one thing we should know, which I've discovered or which I've observed over the years, that there have always been political interference. When it comes to this one, release of funds to businesses. You see politicians coming in with their usual style, and at times some of these DFIs, because again they are government funded, will always kowtow to the wishes of politicians. So yes, we agree that the results are not as fast coming as we expect, but they are working. They are working, even though very slow.
Now, talking about their consistency and their working, I also discovered that some of the DFIs, according to their mandate, are also to make profit. For instance, Bank of Industry is not just giving out money, but they also give it at some level of interest. Why do you think that government make it that in that structured way so that they can also make profit? Because the mindset of majority of Nigerians is that since a government institution, it should be for welfareist purpose. So why the profit seeking of DFIs as we have it in Nigeria?
Yes.
You laugh.
I think it's funny, but the reality is that DFIs are not welfareist organization. I mean that's one thing Nigerians should know that. I think the earlier they know that, the better for everybody. And that is the same mindset you see a lot of people going when they are going to with proposals for requests for funding. They feel, I should just get this money, and why would I even repay the loan? And if you listen to what the last CBN governor said, Emefiele, he was always saying that these monies you got are not grants. They are loans, so you will have to pay back. And except we begin to understand that as Nigerians, that if we are going to get funding, then we should be ready to pay back. Yes, and I must tell you, a lot of these DFIs they are doing well. Take for instance the NSIA. When you go through their books last year, you'll be very shocked that they are doing well as an organization.
It's true.
And I think that is what every DFI should aim to be like. Personally, I think the NSI has set a standard for others to follow.
Although people may Ben, people may argue, our colleagues may argue with you that NSI is structured in a way that its focus is on foreign investors. It doesn't look at the local investors, it doesn't look at the SMEs. So it may be doing very well in that regard, but all these other ones that focus on local business people, they could be cumbersome with the challenge. So NSI is focused internationally.
No, MSI is not. It's not about foreign investors alone. When you look at a lot of the interventions they have done, especially in the field of health.
Yes.
Agriculture. You see that these are all local investments. So it depends. It depends. One thing I feel, or what I've come to realize, that it depends on the head of every institution. When the head fails to understand its core mandate, that is when they begin to dabble into other things that are not another part of their money. At the end of the day, it affects their overall profitability.
Very interesting. Now let's now take a look at these clients that some of these DFI are to service. Most of them have complained that it is not easy to access, even though you have made it in the previous analysis that you put up, that it is not easy to access some of these funds. They also give unnecessary conditions that make some people to be discouraged in getting the fund. For instance, the last 50 billion that federal government shared to SMEs. There were issues around the proposal they are sending. They have to get a professional to help them to put the proposal together. And some of these businesses are not ready for all those rigorous exercises. So how do we now make it so easy for SMEs to access some of these funds without putting stringent conditions that would discourage them from going forward to access funds from DFIs?
These are funds. These are at times let me use the word shareholders funds to use a banking word, and you cannot just give out funds like that. It's not possible.
It's true.
Even at our own small level. Okay, let me give you an instance. Now, when you go through, you see what this online
shark banks.
You begin to understand that yes, they are there to render service, which is to give funds to help people take care of their needs. But then these funds belong to somebody, and the people should be able to say, okay, we've given out 50 billion. At least we should be able to make like 10 million naira as profit or whichever. So that is the challenge. A lot of people, they complain because they find it difficult to meet the criteria that is set. And why? I think for me, if anybody is serious about doing business, they should be able to meet the conditions that are set for them to access funds. It's not rocket science now. Why is it so difficult for you to meet conditions if you know that getting that fund will help you to move your business to the next level? I think we should, as Nigerians, we should be serious about some of these things.
Now, talking about
it's not a welfareist. They are not welfareist organizations. They are there to make profit also.
Now, talking about financial inclusion, because one of the key issues why government set up some of these DFI is to bring about financial inclusion. Do you think they have been performing that role as expected? Because we still have a lot of Nigerians that are out of financial inclusion or financial system or ecosystem in Nigeria.
Yes, like I said earlier, they are performing the role, but it's the pace. When you consider when you consider the portion of the population that they have to meet, you discover that it's so difficult to be able to do that at the pace they want to, especially with the low, not really low level, no, people's inability to want to comply to conform to rules and regulations. I think it will take time. From my observation and from what I've seen over the years, especially with these institutions.
It's true. You are very factual on that. One of my colleagues went out last week to go and check on the small business across Abuja and ask them about what they have been getting from government, whether DFIs are meeting up with their demand and the rest of it. Because that will really prompt me to say, let us discuss these DFI rules in Nigerian economy, particularly their target group, which is the SMEs. But what we are hearing from Nigerians is that some of them don't even know the DFIs. So how do we expect Nigerians to now walk forward to go and meet DFI when they don't even know them? So what should be the way forward in ensuring that we popularize some of these DFI so Nigerians can know them in as an institution as well as government agencies?
Well, yeah, again, you raise a very salient issue. Now, everybody has an Android phone. Almost everybody has an Android phone. So why is it difficult for us if you know, okay, you need an intervention in your business? Why can't you just Google? Like you Google, you're always on your Facebook, you're always on your Instagram, you're always on your TikTok, you're always on your WeChat. So you're always on your WhatsApp. Then why can't you just Google and say, okay, which DFI will meet my need in the area of intervening in transportation? Why can't you? The addresses are all over the place now. It's there, it's not hidden. So I think our people are also responsible. They are not, they don't want to take the sacrifice that is needed to get these things done. The government cannot come and be advertising DFIs, so to say anyway. Government cannot do that. If we need any information you need, it's there at your fingertip. So I think the complaint that some of them don't know this thing, it's just their laziness. Let me use that word.
Ben, some Nigerians may want to disagree with you on that regards because they believe that government is meant to take care of their people. So when government is not making an announcement, you remember one thing, when CBN loan became popular, became popular because they discovered that it was for agric and for some other segment, particularly during the COVID-19 era. But when government on its own doesn't make much noise about their agencies, Nigerians may find it very difficult to understand. And that's why I'm asking that question, although you have made us to understand that Nigerians also need to make effort to know some of these DFI. Now, going forward into the discussion is this. There is this particular issue that we normally have when it comes to government agencies. Politics. How much of policy do you think have really hindered the progress of DFI in Nigeria? Because we cannot separate it from what has been happening so far. Because most of the palliative money that federal government distributed last year and in 2023, it has supposed to have gone through the DFIs, but here we are, it was gone through the state governors. So what do you think we should do going forward about politicizing some of these DFI activities in Nigeria?
Politics has always been a problem when it comes to addressing Nigeria's challenges. Especially with the states wanting to control everything. You see the governors wanting to control their states. You see the National Assembly members wanting to control, the government agencies. And that is why you see that most times you always have issues, especially when it comes to this disbursement of funds. Like the typical COVID-19 intervention.
Exactly.
What happened? Initially, the thing was going smoothly, but all of a sudden, when our NAS members came to realize that there is a windfall here. What happened?
Everything turned. True.
Yes, it's the truth. It's the truth, and that is why that COVID-19 fund went the way it went. And now it's so difficult even trying to recover the money because of political intervention. So for me, if we remove politics from issues of governance, I think we'll be better off for it, every Nigerian.
Now, you have talked so well about that. I'm citing a particular example. Some years back, I think not 2023, Development Bank of Nigeria share money to the geopolitical zone. Then the particular zone got less. And they were like, no, they should go back and reevaluate what they have done. And that's why I'm bringing this question. But going forward into the discussion, because we need to advise the government, advise the DFI on the way out. For the government, for instance, the President Tinubu government, how do you think they need to undo some of the activities of this DFI? Because you have just created one. And I'm still expecting that there is going to be a creation of another DFI very soon because it's already in the pipeline. Credit Corp has been created. Net Fund has been created for students. Credit Corp has been created for civil servants. Another one will come for the general public. How do you think they should be managing all these DFI going forward? From the president, for instance.
Yes, I think it's very simple. Personally, I see it as a very simple thing. One, let them stick to their mandates. No, there is always an act setting up every DFI. They should just stick to it. Let them not try to reinvent the wheel. It's as simple as that. You know, for instance, like the Credit Corp now, we all know is there to help small businesses, civil servants, and the rest. They should just stick to that. Let them not begin to see how they will dabble into agriculture or anything. So I think if they can stick to their mandate, a lot of these issues, a lot of this complaint by people will not even be there in the first place.
No, I haven't talked about mandate, Ben. I haven't talked about mandate. So sorry to cut you in. I haven't talked about mandate. There is this temptation by management of DFIs. For instance, I saw a DFI saying that going to financial inclusion for women, just for women, and financial inclusion for young girls and boys. And I was like, is it not a general thing they're supposed to be doing?
No, yes, like I said, DFIs are their interventions are mostly targeted. It's not just general. That's one thing we have to understand. They might like what you said now, financial inclusion for women and girls. I think they have that one is very clear. This is what we want to do for women and girls. After that, they move to something else. So it's not if it's general, then it will be very difficult to be able to measure what they've done per time.
Now, what I mean by general is this. General in terms of the sector per sector. Is it health? Is it farming? Is it, when you now come to farming, you look at fish farming, you look at poultry farming. Those are the areas that Nigerians are expecting DFIs to really concentrate. But when you now begin to individualize this particular mandate, as if you are cutting off some sects, some genders, from what is considered as financial inclusion. That's why I'm bringing this question up.
No. I think
you are here. Go on.
Yes, I think no. It's not as if they are cutting off some sector. Like I said, when they finish that of financial inclusion for women, they'll go into all that. Mind you, one thing we should know is that as someone that some time ago I also applied, also applied to get loan to start a fish farm. Also I understand some of these things. It's not as if they don't do some of these things you say, but maybe it's not something you've had in the news or that have been announced. But background, a lot of things go on at the background. It's only some of them, some of them, they are not like government agencies per se. So it's not everything they do that they come out to tell you, we've done this. But when you look at their reports, their annual reports, you see some of the interventions that are taking place, and you begin to wonder, when did they do this that I didn't know?
I didn't know. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because most times by the time President Tinubu want to rail out what he has done for Nigeria, he will put all the figures, all the money that he has been giving the DFIs to share for Nigerians, for business, and Nigerians will be wondering, where did they distribute this money?
You know, the funny thing about this is that when you go to, you'll be very shocked that a lot of these monies are lying fallow at the banks. People cannot access them. People those cannot meet up the criteria to access some of these a lot of these funds. The monies are there.
Now
you'll be so shocked because
Ben,
at the time we are.
Okay, let's now advise, because we don't have much time again. Let's now advise the management of some of these DFIs. We need to advise them. We need to set agenda for them. So that's why you are here. So what do you think should be an agenda for some of the management of these DFIs going forward?
I think the first one is that they should resist political interference in the day-to-day running of their of any institution. I think that is the insulation for them. If they want to achieve their mandate, they should resist political interference. It will come. It will definitely come, but it's left for them to say no. This is the rule that the president has carved out for us. We'll stick to that. Yes, if any politician is interested, they should be able to meet the criteria set for them to access such funding. So if they can do that, I think a lot of the challenges they face will not even be there in the first place. And also transparency is key.
Now let's take your motivation to the SMEs. I told you that a colleague of mine went out, sample opinion. Majority of them say they don't know most of the DFIs. Some will tell you they don't know, have an understanding of what DFI is all about. That's why we bring this topic in. So what will be your motivation to SMEs in Nigeria, both at group level, individual level, and unit level? Because Nigeria need to understand the roles of DFIs in Nigerian economy. So what do you have to tell SMEs in Nigeria?
What I'll tell them is that they should ask questions. What they don't know, they should ask questions. As a group of small businesses, they should be able to know who they can meet to access funding. I think if they can do that, this issue of we don't even know them, we can't even access funds, will not even be there. Like that, you see a lot of DFIs focusing on cooperatives. It is because with cooperatives it's easier to disburse funds and also to get back their funds. So as businesses, we should be able to ask questions. We should come together. They should be able to come together as a group. Because like they say, when you are united, you are able to achieve more than when you do your two things in silos.
Ben, I can't thank you enough for this discussion today. I think you have given us a very broad perspective as someone, an insider in the DFI ecosystem of Nigeria. We really appreciate you, Benjamin Umuteme, Deputy Business Editor, Blueprint Newspaper, Abuja. Thank you so much for being part of the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.